Guns are bad, but Trump is Hitler. So what do? Hi, we're Democrats for the NRA. Yes, I know I'm talking loud. We're a group of liberal thinkers who would normally be for restricting gun ownership. Unfortunately, we have a dangerous fascist dictator in the White House. So, at Democrats for the NRA, we want as many guns on the streets as possible for when Trump tries to suspend democracy and start rounding people up, which you just know he's gonna do. At the same time, we also want to limit the Second Amendment because guns are bad, evil, and dangerous weapons of war. I know I'm shouting. And that's why we're fighting for your right to keep and bear arms against a tyrannical government, while lobbying to restrict those same death machines. That's right, when Trump calls off the 2026 elections and sends his ICE stormtroopers into every city, we'll be on the streets with our AR-15s and our signs calling for AR-15s to be banned. Because Donald Trump is a psychotic maniac dictator, we're Democrats for the NRA. Yeah, I know I'm yelling. Democrats for the NRA. Our message is clear. Guns are good, but also bad.
Welcome to Mark Mosley Show. I'm your host, Mark Mosley. Yes, I have a podcast. I believe it was Andy Warhol who said that in the future, everyone will have a podcast. And he was right. And I figured, look, I've got a pleasant speaking voice and, oh, here's a microphone. Let me turn on the mic and just start flapping my gums. Because everyone needs to hear what I have to say. Yes, I'm mocking my own podcast. I'm like a 90s grunge band. I'm in this for the art, not the money, the fame, or the girls. So welcome to the show. Well, the left has certainly had a confusing week. Referring back to that little piece of comedy there, what doesn't work for the left. They have so many competing narratives on the left. And what doesn't work is this: we need fewer guns, get the guns off the street talk, juxtaposed with Trump is Hitler. Well, guys, I got news for you. You're never going to defeat Hitler unless you have a buttload of guns. So, I mean, get together, put your heads together, guys on the left. You need to figure this out. Which one is it now? Either Trump is a dangerous authoritarian dictator who's going to use his masked, jackbooted ICE stormtroopers to invade every major city and subject all Americans to his plans for a Fourth Reich, or we need fewer guns. I mean, it can't be both. It can't be both. It doesn't work. To quote the great prophetess Jasmine Crockett, that math don't math. It's fuzzy math. It's fuzzy math. I'm George W. Bush. I'm back. I'm back from the early 2000s. Welcome to the show. See, one of the problems that we have now in media is stories like the Catholic school shooter. Stories like that break, and because cable news is now 24 hours a day, you have people on TV, and they have to sit there in real time and wait for the details to trickle in, and so all they have is time to fill. And they wind up saying lots of stupid things. And that plus folks on the left are always immediately calling for more gun laws. I mean, everybody. There were calls for red flag laws in Minnesota, even though that state already has red flag laws, just like New York has. And the red flag laws in New York failed to prevent the shooting in Manhattan back in July, the shooting in Times Square, the Brooklyn hookah lounge shooting. On Fox News, legal analyst Paul Morrow said, quote, "Crazy people should not have guns, period." Well, careful there, Paul. Don't be careful now, because the shooter turned out to be trans. So now you'll be accused of saying trans people are mentally ill, and we can't say that in America. Can't say it. Chuck Schumer immediately pushed for gun control. even though the shooter did not use an AR and had acquired his guns legally. Sure, I just said his guns. Sorry, should I afford a man who shot up a church and killed kids the respect of using his preferred pronouns? Or are we past that now? Jake Tapper over on CNN was very careful. We have to make sure that we use his preferred pronouns. And listen to this example of media spin. Oh boy. On ABC News, this was early on. This is what I'm saying about 24-hour news. They make a lot of mistakes because they just have to blah, 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 blah until more details come in. Heaven forbid you went to a commercial. We'll be right back after these messages from Pfizer. A reporter referred to the name of President Trump being written on the guns without clarifying that the message that was the context of that was the message was kill Donald Trump. No, that's not going to mislead anybody. No. There's not one person watching ABC News that would hear that phrasing and think, oh, he was MAGA. He was a Trump fan. Rosie O'Donnell. She wound up having to apologize for that. No, there's not going to be some nut job out there going, well, this guy was a Trump fan. To Rosie O'Donnell's credit, she did apologize for that rant. So we're going to give her credit where credit's due. At least here's a woman that at least has enough self-awareness to know, okay, I screwed up. Let me backtrack here. She actually earned my respect with that one. I mean, you can stay there in Ireland. That's fine. Speaking of Ireland, I noticed the weirdest thing because sometimes I listen to this podcast. I listen back to it, and because I like to listen to it and hear how great it sounds. No, I want to listen to the sound of my own voice. That's right. Hi, everybody. I've got a terrific radio broadcasting voice, and I'm in love with the sound of it. No, actually, I listen to the podcast because I'm constantly trying to improve it. So I kind of try to pick it apart and find the mistakes, the places where I flubbed and the places where I stumbled over my words. Say, I have to do better. But I noticed something when I am listening to my podcast, and I don't place the ads. The ads that you hear, those are because my podcast is originally hosted through a platform called Spreaker, Spreaker.com. And then what they do is they send it out to Spotify, iHeart, and Apple Podcasts and some other places. So, but it's originally hosted through Spreaker. So Spreaker places the ads, and I'm listening to my podcast, the last couple of ones, and I notice there's a lot of there's a lot of ads for Irish products and services, as if my podcast is coming from Ireland. And I just found that to be very odd. Maybe my show is wildly popular in Ireland, and that's why you're getting Irish commercials. I don't know. It's a mystery to me, but I almost feel like Spreaker is shortchanging me because I make pennies. I make not dollars at this point, but I make pennies every time one of those ads plays, and then if it happened to reach somebody, that's the goal, is to get you to buy these products and services. But I don't think anybody in America is going to buy groceries from an Irish grocery store. So that's kind of strange. Let's talk about thoughts and prayers, because we were talking about the shooter. The media roundly mocked Christians for praying for the kids that were killed in that Catholic school shooting. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, I think that's how you say his name, said, don't just say this is about thoughts and prayers right now. These kids were literally praying before allowing courts to temporarily confiscate firearms from individuals deemed a risk to themselves or others. Legislation was signed into law by Governor Tim Walz as part of a broader public safety package that also included universal background checks. So, you know, you got universal background checks. You've got the ability to confiscate firearms from crazy people in Minnesota. Locally, the law was greeted as significant. A January 2024 editorial in the Mankato Free Press noted how the new red flag law, along with other measures, boosted Minnesota's gun safety ranking. Family members, law enforcement officials, city or county attorneys, guardians, and even mental health professionals can, under certain circumstances, recommend that guns be taken away from people. An emergency order can be issued without notifying the respondent, and that lasts for up to 14 days. Issued after a court hearing, a final order is valid for 3 to 6 months and can be renewed. The respondent must surrender firearms within 24 hours to law enforcement or a licensed dealer. A hearing allows them to contest the order. They may also request early termination once every 6 months with proof they no longer pose a risk. The court relies on clear and convincing evidence of threats to safety, prior violence, mental health issues, or other risk factors. Which, I mean, listen, the media doesn't want to talk about this really, because then you're going down the road of are trans people mentally ill? And that's just not a conversation that the left really wants to have. They'd rather, let's just kind of push that under the rug. Over on MSNBC, Jen Psaki was quoted bluntly as, "Prayer is not freaking enough. Prayers do not end school shootings. Prayers do not make parents feel safe sending their kids to school. Prayer does not bring these kids back. Enough with the thoughts and prayers." Well, here's what I'd like to say about thoughts and prayers. Why doesn't Mother Earth stop humanity from killing her with all of our carbon spewing? Doesn't your God care? Is your God so weak and unable to do anything? I mean, sure, she's got volcanoes. She can spew lava, and she can make the ground shake, and she can make the oceans rise completely imperceptibly. But it's not working. It's not stopping humanity from killing her. Doesn't your God have any power at all? Please do not deify Mother Earth if she is so weak and pathetic and unconcerned that she can't do anything to stop people from killing her. There was actually a recent incident that I think is a good example of this. The tragic delay of Greta Thunberg's performance art piece. Greta has organized Flotilla 2, the sequel, to sail dramatically down to Gaza, where they already know there's no place to offload the supplies Greta and her fellow actors collected. But they are going to go anyway, even though it's completely performative, just totally theatrical. Yeah, because the Israeli government is not going to let them land. Doesn't matter. Well, they're on their way now, but here's what happened. Mother Earth couldn't even cooperate with Greta Thunberg and her humanitarian performance art piece. There was a big storm, and they all their boats had to turn back. So I asked the question, where is your God now? Where is your God? Does Mother Earth even care about the people of Gaza? Does she care about the children in Gaza? Where is your God? Sorry, I am going to mock you for your beliefs in a magic woman who lives under the ground. Because Greta was trying to go save those kids in Gaza, and Mother Earth couldn't even get it together to allow her to go there. Where is your God? But where is my God? The God that you atheists and agnostics don't believe in, but because, you are all completely moral people who want to judge anyway, You're going to ask me, where is my God? My God is not a God that will control all human behavior to the point that we have no choice but to obey him. God gives all of us free will. He even gave his son free will. Jesus could have avoided the cross. In the end, he could have chosen to be disobedient to the Father. Remember, in the Garden of Gethsemane, he said, Father, if it be your will, let this cup pass from me, but not my will, but yours be done. You see, Jesus had free will. Yes, he was fully God and fully man, but he actually had the capacity to be disobedient to God. God gave him free will, just like he gave all of us. So we have the capacity for good or for evil. And he gives us free will so that we can choose to obey him or defy him. The question is, do any of my non-believers listening to this podcast want to live as robots? Do we want a world where, yes, that young man could not kill those children because he was a robot with no free will, as we all would be, with no say in the matter? We could only be obedient to God. What kind of life would that be? You wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't be able to enjoy any of the sensual, meaning of the senses, sensual pleasures that we want to indulge in. Sex with everybody, eating too much, laying around watching TV all day, not helping our fellow man, wasting your life playing video games. All of the pleasures that you want to indulge in, you would not be able to indulge in, because the God that you insist on in moments like this, the God that you insist he be in moments like this, why doesn't he stop this God, this man, from killing these kids? God should not allow any sin, any error, anyone disobeying him. That's the world you want to live in. That's what you're saying. For you, that would be fair. That would be just. For all of us to be automatons in the service of a God that you don't even believe in, don't like, don't want to obey as it is now, and don't think is fair or just. Where is my God? He sits in heaven on a throne, holding justice in one hand and mercy in the other. That's where he is. Meanwhile, in Gaza, by the way, speaking of Gaza, a young Gazan boy dubbed Amir, who traveled to a Gaza Humanitarian Foundation distribution site and was reported as having been killed by Israeli Defense Forces back in May, has been found alive and was hiding out with his mother. In an exclusive interview with the boy, whose real name was confirmed by the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation to be Abdul Rahim Mohammed Hamdan, but who goes by Aboud, the 8-year-old and his mother answered questions provided by Fox News Digital through a GHF translator, in which the pair appeared excited ahead of their planned extraction from the Gaza Strip. Aboud and his mother, whose name is Najla, were safely extracted from the Gaza Strip this past week. The location has not been disclosed because once the false claim of the boy's murder had been made, he was forced to hide, as Hamas now has an interest in killing him. Where is your God? I'm Mark Mosley. We're coming back with the X-Files. Yes, the X-Files. Right back.
It's Mark Mosley Show.
Mark Mosley Show, sponsored by Pfizer, who want you to know that our COVID-19 vaccines are now pumpkin spiced for the holiday season. So just take them and don't ask too many questions. Pfizer. Remember when the left used to hate us?
You are effectively denying people vaccines.
We're not going to recommend a product for which there's no clinical data for that indication. Is that what I should be doing?
What you should be doing is honoring your promise that you made when you were looking to get confirmed in this job.
You're going like this.
And that is, you promised that you would not take away vaccines from anyone who wanted them. You just changed the classification of the COVID vaccine.
I'm not taking them away from people, Senator.
It takes it away if you can't get it from your pharmacist.
Well, most Americans are going to be able to get it from their pharmacy for free. Most Americans will be able to get it from their pharmacy for free.
The question is, everyone who wants it, that was your promise.
No, I didn't. I never promised that I was going to recommend products with which there is no indication.
When you said...
And I know you've taken $855,000 from pharmaceutical companies, Senator.
Did you hold up a big sign saying that you were lying when you said that? Because you are the one who said you would not take them away. Now, Senator Kennedy,
I'm not taking them away from anybody.
Secretary,
you want me to indicate a product for which there is no clinical data?
Senator,
is that what you want?
Secretary Kennedy, you said you wouldn't, and now you did.
I'm not taking them away. Everybody can get access to them.
No, they can't walk into a pharmacy the way they could last month and get access.
It depends on the states.
A year ago,
but they can still get it. Everybody can get it. Everybody can get it, Senator.
Oh, Liz Warren, the fake American Indian. She's so altruistic, isn't she? Just fighting for the little people. Hello, I'm Mark Mosley. Welcome to Mark Mosley Show. Liz Warren, she's fighting for all the little people who work at J&J and Merck. She loves that big pharma money, baby. You know, I don't get the left. This is another one of those issues where you don't even have the polls with you. You don't even have the numbers here. You don't have the support of the American people. It's not like you guys couldn't give up that juicy big pharma money and just go get it from some other industry. You know, because there's plenty of filthy cash to be made when you're a United States senator. They come with the money by the suitcase. And Liz wasn't always in love with that dirty, nasty big pharma money. Remember? Remember just 9 years ago when she opposed the Cures Act? If you don't know what the Cures Act is, go look it up. On December 7th, 2016, the Senate did pass the final version of the 21st Century Cures Act, and Elizabeth Warren was among the 5 senators who voted against it. She strongly criticized the bill on the Senate floor, saying it had been hijacked by the pharmaceutical industry and that it watered down safety requirements for drugs and medical devices. Here's the very same Liz Warren you just heard in 2016.
According to news reports, a major Republican donor stands to benefit financially from selling cellular and regenerative medical therapies. If this guy had his way, he'd be able to sell them to desperate people without a final FDA determination that those therapies were either safe or effective. Of course, that would be against the law right now. So this mega donor has poured millions of dollars into Mitch McConnell's personal campaign coffers and into his Republican super PAC, and now he wants his reward. The Cures Act offers to sell government favors. It delivers a special deal so that people can sell these treatments without meeting the FDA gold standards for protecting patient safety and making sure that these drugs actually do some good.
Can we have that Liz Warren back? Bring back the Elizabeth Warren who rightly distrusted Big Pharma. Come on, Liz. Buy back a tiny sliver of your soul. You too, Bernie. I'm looking at you. You also opposed the Cures Act back in 2016. And you said, it's time for Congress to stand up to the world's biggest pharmaceutical companies, not give them more handouts. You guys are on the wrong side of history now.
Much as you try to bury it, the truth is out there.
No, it isn't. No, it actually is not out there. And it certainly isn't on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. Welcome to the X-Files, or stuff I found on X that I think is funny, absurd, ridiculous, and just plain weird. Let's start with this one. It's Congressperson Sarah McBride calling the kettle black.
We will not take a lecture on decorum from a party that incited an insurrection. I appear to live rent-free in the minds of some of my Republican colleagues. I wish that they would spend even a fraction of the time that they spend thinking about me, thinking about how to lower the costs for American families. I wish they would spend a fraction of the time that they spend thinking about me, figuring out how to make government actually work better, rather than making it work worse in order to prove that government can't work. They are obsessed with culture war issues. The Republican Party is obsessed with culture war issues. It is weird and it is bizarre. And the American people deserve serious legislators, serious elected officials who are focused on bringing people together to deliver real results for the American people, not to play games and not to engage in schoolyard taunts.
Sarah, dude, bro, my guy, I mean, this is some next level gaslighting. You're a man in a dress calling Republicans weird. Listen, we don't know to what level Congressperson McBride has committed to the transition. So as far as I'm concerned, we're free to make any assumption we like until Congressperson McBride cares to clarify. And until that time, you're just a dude in a dress to me, trying to tell us who's weird and bizarre and claiming people are obsessed with you. I assume that means that you'd like society to please not look at me. Don't look at me, everybody. Don't look at me. We should all just ignore you because you're not crying out for attention. People who crave the spotlight don't get to ask why everyone is obsessed with you. Up next, a young woman in her 20s who just has so much more wisdom than the people who raised her.
My brother was in town visiting me recently, and we have MAGA parents that we haven't spoken to in 8 years because, again, they're MAGA parents. My brother seems to think that's like, oh, we could agree to disagree. Oh, we can move past it. Oh, we can meet them where they're at. I'm not like that. I don't feel that way. But I do have a relationship with him, and I do love him, and he is not MAGA. So for his own benefit, I went and sat in support while we had this, like, weird dinner with my parents. And I was very shocked and also reassured to find that 8 years later, zero personal growth has taken place. I mean, we're talking like, this is almost a decade, okay? And everything that happened economically and everything that happened politically and even just like what we may have gone through in 8 years as individuals, they are the same people. Just total problematic behavior. Racism, homophobic, sexist, misogynist, the whole 9 yards. Like, they are completely brainwashed by legacy media. Completely. There is zero critical thinking going on at all. And you can see where my mom, like, the gears are kind of trying to grind, but they're not quite making the cut because the machine is just so very old and outdated, and those skills have never been utilized. And I just, like, for anybody out there who's wondering, like, when this whole nightmare is going to be over and when they're going to get their parents back, like, when are we going to see the end of this train wreck? It's when the boomers expire. When the conservative boomers expire, that is going to be the end of it. Your parents are not coming back. Those people are gone.
Yeah, nothing has changed in 8 years. Yep, no one at that table, except your brother, has moved. They are the same people. So are you. So are you. Yes, your parents are completely brainwashed by Legacy media? Whose side does she think legacy media is on? Does she really think that legacy media is on Trump's side? You know, most reasonable, intelligent people have allowed themselves to open their eyes to legacy media brainwashing. It's why Trump got 63 million in 2016, 72 million in 2020, and 77 million votes in 2024, while, by the way, increasing his share of the popular vote from 46% to 47% to about 50%. Okay, up next on the X-Files, this one's got the crazy eyes. This woman defines herself, like so many people on the left, by how much she cares. Oh my gosh, you guys, she just cares so very much about everyone that agrees with her.
Proud to be woke, proud to be a liberal, proud to be a Democrat. Hell yeah. What does that mean? That means that I care about everybody. That means I care about the USA. That means I care about our air. That means I care about our parks, our oceans. That means I care about what is going on. That doesn't mean that I am a MAGA, which is a racist Republican. There is a complete difference. You can be a Republican and you're not a MAGA and you're not a racist piece of shit. But yes, I will always stay woke. I will always be a liberal and I will always care about my country, the United States of America. Yes, I love America. I love what it stands for. I also love our Constitution. You will never break it, rip it, or burn it. You're stuck with it.
She does not like MAGA, but she does long for the day when MAGA goes away, because when the MAGA movement is over, only then can we begin to make America great again. So get out of here, MAGA, and let us make America great again. We should have an acronym for that. We really should. And finally, this woman's message is crystal clear. Trump is Hitler, ICE is the SS, and oh, by the way, the Jews need to be exterminated. She wants a new national anthem for the United States of America.
2 changes I'm making in my classroom this year.
Trump, ICE, free Palestine. I'ma say that again, free Palestine.
Trump and ICE, free Palestine. I must say that again, free Palestine.
With her hand over her heart in the video, she's singing about free Palestine with such conviction and solemnity, not realizing, of course, that she's calling for the extermination of the Jewish nation. And remember, kids, Trump is the embodiment of the Fourth Reich while being controlled by the Zionists. That's right, Hitler is controlled by the Jews. Our narrative is just clear as pig poop.
And now, Shallow Thoughts by Al Ibril.
Talking to kids about sex at school is just education. But talking about sex around adults in the workplace can be triggering, threatening, and considered sexual harassment. So don't do it.
Elon Musk reposted this on his X account from a user named Brandy Cruz on X, who is, let's see who Brandy Cruz is. Oh, she's a podcaster, theundividedpod.com. She's out of Seattle. She calls herself a media person. She posted this recently on her X account. Good luck opting your child out. The state of Washington's largest school district, Seattle, says parents are forbidden from opting their own children out of lessons about gender and sexuality. And she posted this graphic, which appears to be an official statement from the Seattle public schools. It says, about opt-out requests. Seattle Public Schools works to provide a wide range of educational opportunities that reflect who students are, help them build empathy for others, and prepare them to be compassionate citizens of a diverse and changing world. There is no option to opt students out of learning about particular identities or groups of people. This guidance is reinforced by OSPI, the state's superintendent's office, the policies of other major urban districts, including the states of California and New York, and the outcomes of federal cases around the country. We celebrate all students in Seattle public schools. Libs of TikTok followed up with this post from Fox News, from a Fox News report, that the Washington State kindergarten sex ed class is called the Gender Jamboree Lesson. The objective, kids can identify their own gender and name at least 3 gender identities. Key message, some people are boys, some people are girls, some people are both, and some people are neither. Kindergarten kids. Kindergarten. I saw someone the other day claim that you can either be binary or non-binary, which is, of course, a binary choice. I thought that was funny. You can either be binary or non-binary. It's one or the other, which is a binary choice. But I'm sure the left would insist, no. There's more than binary and non-binary. Some people are double binary. Some people are both boys and girls. That's what this Washington State kindergarten sex ed class appears to be teaching. Some kids are boys and girls at the same time. Okay. All right.
Too far! God! Thanks a lot, man.
Let's talk for a minute about the observation of the 20th anniversary of the this past week of the propaganda operation known as Hurricane Katrina. And let me explain what I mean by propaganda operation, because I used to live in New Orleans, and in the 80s there was a flood that flooded the city and filled up the city with water. In fact, that wasn't the first time it had happened. May 3rd, 1978, there was a great flood in New Orleans. A massive squall line colliding with a stalled cold front produced 10 to 14 inches of rain in about 6 hours over New Orleans. The city, which lies in some places 5 to 6 feet below sea level, severely overwhelmed. Flooding was catastrophic. Hundreds of homes inundated with 4 feet of water. Motorists inadvertently drove into overflowing drainage canals, which, if you know New Orleans, those canals are everywhere. And when the streets are flooded, you don't know where the canal is. And so people were driving into canals, and those canals are 6-8 feet deep. Just drive right in there. Service station tanks floated away. Wooden coffins floated up from ground-level tombs. The I-10 dip beneath a railroad overpass became submerged under approximately 15 feet of water and was completely impassable. And the same thing happened when I lived there, because I lived in New Orleans in the early 80s, so like 81 to 83. And there was another flood that did the very same thing. There was water everywhere. We had canals. We had a canal behind our house. We lived in Metairie, which is the suburbs, and it overflowed, and we had crawfish in our backyard. I remember that. The same thing happened again in 1995. So before Katrina, this happened several times. But what happened with Katrina was it changed the way FEMA operated. Now, I'm talking about, I want to talk about this because I want to pivot to something else that changed recently. Pre-Katrina, FEMA acted more as a coordinator and funder than as a hands-on emergency responder. The primary focus after a federally declared disaster was providing financial assistance. FEMA would basically work with states to assess damages and then write checks. That's what FEMA was. They were a check-writing federal agency. On the ground emergency operations, those were left to state, local, and volunteer agencies like the Red Cross or National Guard. But then Katrina happened, and the media kept saying, and this is why I say Katrina was a propaganda operation, because they wanted to get Bush. The media kept saying, where's FEMA? Where's FEMA? Where's FEMA? Bush is failing. Where's Bush? Where is George W. Bush? He's in Washington, D.C. That's where he is. He's hiding under the desk because Daddy told me the hurricane was going to come get me. So I was hiding under the Resolute desk. Where's FEMA? Post-Katrina FEMA, the catastrophic failures of Katrina, which were blamed completely on George W. Bush, even though it was local and state officials who would have been responsible for getting people the hell out of New Orleans when you knew a Category 4 hurricane was coming. But no, it was all Bush's fault. The catastrophic failures of Katrina led to the Post-Katrina Emergency Management Reform Act of 2006. This is what it did. It changed FEMA from a check-writing operation to an operational response organization or bureaucracy, pre-positioning supplies, coordinating evacuations, deploying federal response teams, building trailers and sending water and having pallets of food and all those things that FEMA does now that it didn't used to do before Katrina. And here's the pivot. So it is with ICE. And I know I'm repeating myself. I said this weeks ago on this podcast. ICE had to alter the way that they do their jobs because of sanctuary city and state policies. Again, the way that ICE used to work in the past, when they had local law enforcement cooperation, was bad guy, a bad hombre was out there, and he was a bad guy, and local police would go pick that guy up. And they would see, oh, this person, oh, look, it says here that this person is wanted by the feds. And they would call ICE, and ICE would drive down to that jail and pick up that guy and leave everyone else the hell alone. Let that wash over you. ICE now has to go on broad raids to fish for wanted felons because your stupid mayor and your stupid governor is allowing wanted felons to hide out among the non-felon illegal immigrant population. So yeah, I'm talking to you, Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom and all the rest of you. You rate comparison with the Palestinian government. They let Hamas terrorists operate out of hospitals and schools. You're no better than they are, hiding behind human shields of women and children. And then ICE comes along and they say, we got to go in there, and maybe it's a workplace. And guess what? Every illegal in the building gets arrested. Whose fault is that? Is it ICE's fault, whose job specifically is to root out and deport criminal illegal aliens? I know, all illegal aliens are criminals. I know. Felons. And then what the left does, and I'm really sick of this, is this very weak bit where they try to use guilt on Christians in America by claiming Jesus was a refugee and Jesus was illegal. Well, that's false. If you're talking about the story of the birth of Christ, no, his family were not refugees. They went to Bethlehem because A, that was Joseph's hometown, and B, to, wait for it, pay taxes. Hello? Paying taxes like a citizen? So, not a good look for you Bible-quoting atheists. That's weak. You guys are still running plays for Malinsky, and that book is 50 years old. Trying to shame people. Shaming doesn't work anymore. Labeling, shaming, repetition, it's old. Even Alinsky said a tactic that drags on becomes a drag, but the left never read that page. And if you're talking about when Jesus' family fled to Egypt, yes, that was to escape very specific persecution. But there were no laws against fleeing to Egypt. In fact, there were well-established Jewish communities in Egypt, a country that was also part of the Roman Empire. So it was kind of like fleeing from California to Utah. So that's another failed narrative. The Christian view of U.S. immigration policy and enforcement, my view, the Christian view, our view, is actually the more compassionate view. I know, because my desire is for people to come here legally. When people come here legally, and we have order, a process, paperwork, yes, increase legal immigration, increase the size of the federal bureaucracy, hire more people to process more legal migrants. We love immigrants. Immigrants built this country. So you don't get to characterize me. But when we have a well-run legal system of immigration, you don't get 300,000 missing Central American kids. When's the last time you heard any empathy for those kids on CNN? How many follow-up stories have you seen there? If I ran CNN, we'd be on the subject of missing Central American kids all day, every day. Because my Christian view of this is there are kids who are living hell on earth. Sex slavery. Girls who are being raped all day. Boys too. Kids who are being made to work illegally in the U.S., sometimes for free. How about the amount of drugs coming across an open border? When you blindly, naively support the popular leftist positions on this issue in 2025, you are, perhaps unintentionally, supporting the sex slavery of Central American kids. And I know because you lean left, you put a lot of stock in how you feel. How does that make you feel? How does that make you feel to know that you're supporting the sex slavery of Central American kids? I know you've turned this podcast off by now because I went way too far, didn't I?
Too far!
What about a living wage for these folks? We all know that the left is big on living wage. These people are working for less than minimum. They have no benefits, and they have no system by which they can sue an employer who abuses them. This is what you support. This is what you support. Sorry, it's been a week. My dad's been in the hospital for the last 3 weeks. The reason that this podcast is so delayed this week is because I had to go see him, so I had to travel. So I was moving around a lot this week. And so my fellow believers, if you would pray for Glenn, that's my dad. He's not doing the best. So I appreciate that. And thank you for your indulgence. I got a little dark there. But when I come back, it'll get a little lighter. It's Mark Mosley Show.
It's Mark Mosley Show. Follow Mark on X, Instagram, and Facebook at Mark Mosley. And subscribe for new episodes weekly on your favorite podcast platform.
Hello, I'm Donald Trump. Well, Cracker Barrel turned it around. They took my advice. I give only the best advice, and they reversed course on their disastrous logo changes. But I was intrigued, and I made them an amazing offer. We are going to go into business together and combine two great names into one. Yes, introducing the new Cracker Tower. It's the best of Cracker Barrel and Trump Tower rolled into one. If you thought one story of great food and down-home decor was good, Wait till you see 50 glittering stories of food and down-home decor at Cracker Tower. Yes, we have the peg game, but it's gold-plated. It's the gold-plated peg game, and when you win the peg game, you will be named a U.S. ambassador to a random foreign country, because if you can solve that puzzle, you've clearly got something going on, and we only want the best. Same thing with the country store. We've got tchotchkes, we've got bric-a-brac, but again, it's all gold-plated. Gold-plated rocking chairs, cowboy hats, even gold-plated moon pies. Careful, kids, you will break your teeth. And look, who's that serving up the grub at Cracker Tower? Why, it's the Trump family in person. The whole family, ready to serve your family our famous biscuits and gravy. Gold-plated biscuits and gravy.
Donald, I don't want to, how do you say it, sling hash.
That's gold-plated hash, Melania. Now get back to work. So bring the whole family and come on down to the all-new Cracker Tower, where we make great deals on old country meals.
Yeah, do it. Do it. You won't do it. Trump has had quite a week, man. He's changing the names of federal agencies.
We're going to change the Department of Defense to the Department of War.
That is bold. I'm sorry. That is pretty bold. And this week, Trump also just blew up a boat full of narco-terrorists looking to deliver drugs and chaos to America. He just blew it up, which has the left screaming about due process and rights and... but it sure does send a message, don't it? Hey, tell your friends. Tell your friends, don't mess with the United States of America. Reminds me of the line from 48 Hours when Eddie Murphy goes, "Now I want the rest of you cowboys to know something. There's a new sheriff in town, and his name is Reggie Hammond. Y'all be cool. Right on." Trump had a great post over the weekend, last weekend, in celebration of Labor Day. Trump's 11 life-changing lessons. I love this. And it was pointed out to me by my friend Joe Messina, who is also a talk show host. He said, these things are like common sense, or they used to be. But now it's this post and it's gone viral. And these are just things that like kids ought to already know and do. And yet here we are in 2025 and you got to point these things out to them. But here it is. Take a listen.
Let me share some of the biggest lessons I've learned from a lifetime spent building dreams. First, if you think that you're too young to do something great, let me tell you that you are wrong. You're not too young. In America, with drive and ambition, young people can do anything. Second of all, and very importantly, you have to love what you do. I rarely see somebody that's successful that doesn't love what he or she does. Third thing is to think big. You're going to do something, you might as well think big, because it's just as hard to solve a small problem as a big problem, and it's just as much energy and everything else, except the result is going to be a smaller one. So love what you do, but think big. Fourth is work hard. Work hard. Fifth is don't lose your momentum. You just want to keep it going, and you have to know if you are losing it, you have to know when you're losing it, so maybe you stop and maybe it's time to stop. Number 6, if you want to change the world, you have to have the courage to be an outsider. In other words, you have to take certain risks and do things a little bit differently. Otherwise, if that weren't the case, everybody would be successful. Number 7 is to trust your instincts, common sense. You can go very far in life with common sense. 8th, everybody should believe in the American dream. It's real, it's there, and it's right before you. 9th, think of yourself as a winner. The power of positive thinking. In recent years, too many of our young people have really been taught to think of themselves as victims. But in America, we reject that idea that anyone is born a victim. Our heroes are the ones who take charge of their own destiny despite the odds. And next is to be an original. The old-time greats were people who had the confidence to be a little different. God only created one of you, so don't try to be someone else. Finally, and most importantly, never, ever give up. I've learned that perseverance is everything, so whatever happens, no matter where you are in life, stay optimistic and just keep pushing forward. Never let anyone tell you that something is impossible. Ever, ever, ever. In America, the impossible is what we all do best.
Yeah, aren't those no-brainers? You know, I always tell young people, because so many people ask me, they say, Mark Mosley, you are a very successful individual. How did you make it big in America? No, they really don't ask me. But every once in a while, a young person will say, what's the secret to success in America? And I will say, first of all, that the bar is very, very low. I don't know if you've noticed this, but nobody wants to work. Like, no one wants to do their job anymore. So this is what I tell young people. I say, you want to make it big in America? It's not that hard. All you have to do is 3 things. Show up on time, have a positive attitude. That's a big one. And just work this much harder, just a little bit harder than the person next to you. And you will be a superstar. And it's not going to happen overnight. You still have to work hard. That's another thing that people don't want to do. They don't want to work hard. You got to work hard, but yes, you can make it in America. It's not complicated. This is a great country, and it's super easy to make it big here if you have any drive at all, which most people don't. Well, let's wrap the show up as we always do with the doofus of the week.
You're a big stupid doofus.
No, you are.
No, you.
In Corpus Christi, Texas, a woman was trying to keep her stalking ex-boyfriend at arm's length, but he still gave her the finger. No, not that finger. It was a different finger. Well, it may have been that finger. I don't know. Cops say the woman filed an emergency protective order from her lover, and it was a good call on her part because he recently sent her in the mail, in a box, with a note, one of his fingers. Oh, that's marriage material right there. Man, snap that guy up. Ooh, yeah. That is husband material right there. The box had a note that said, and I'm not making this up, "This is my last chance to touch you." Oh, yeah. Oh, man, that'll win her back. That is, although, you know what? If you do marry him, he's never going to let you forget it. "Woman, I cut off my finger for you. Now get in that kitchen and fix me some biscuits." Why does he sound like Larry the Cable Guy? "Get her done, that's right. I cut my finger off for you. So why don't you go and pick Grandma up from the airport?" He will never let you forget it. "Hey, honey, you awake? Yeah, it's me, the man who cut his finger off for you." He's going to use that till the day you die. Oh, man. Maybe next time he could send her one of his Tootsies. You know? I mean, you cut one of those off, no one's going to miss that. It's hidden in a shoe. I mean, a finger, you're missing a finger. That's a conversation starter. But a toe, no one cares. Send her one of send her your pinky toe with a note that says, "This little piggy went wee 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 all the way to your heart." But man, what a way to show that woman that you've got it together, you've got your personal thing together, than by severing a digit and mailing it to her. Hey, maybe next time propose marriage by slipping a ring on your finger before you drop it off at UPS. Cops say the unnamed lover, we'll call him Lefty, has left town and has not been located. But when they do find him, they'll have no trouble matching up his fingerprints. Congratulations, Lefty. You're the doofus of the week.
You're a big, stupid doofus.
No, you are.
No, you.
Well, thanks for listening to the show. Mark Mosley Show. Don't forget to follow me on social media. Don't forget to share this show with a friend, even the dark parts. Don't forget to share the show with a friend, or even better, share it with an enemy. And don't forget to like us on the podcast platform that you listen to. Until next time, may God bless you with health, joy,